What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be doing an oil change on the FZ1. Going to start out with just kind of showing you what it is I'm going to be doing, where the oil filter is, the drain plug, and really that's all you need to know whenever you're doing this, and the sight glass, which is really easy. And we'll get to that at the end, but let's go ahead and get going on it. Okay, so the first thing that you need whenever you're doing oil change, obviously, is the oil in the filter. So I went to my local shop and got 4 quarts of what I'm going to be using is Yamalu 10W40. It's one of the oils that is recommended for this bike. It's just what I'm going to be using. Everybody has their own preference, and if you look online, there's tons of forums and stuff, lots of debate over which ones you should use. Just go with what you like. And then I've got the Yamaha oil filter, the actual Yamaha one, because I just felt like getting that. There's other ones you can get, tons of debate on that as well, but that's what I'm going to be using. Just look for what's specific for your bike. Okay, so on my bike, if you have an 06 FZ1 or maybe other year FZ1s, I'm not sure, I only know mine obviously, the oil filter is right here behind the headers. So if you have gone riding recently, I went riding it's been about an hour, but if you've been riding recently, wait for a while to change your oil because you're probably going to get against these headers at some point. So right there's where the oil filter is. It's not a terrible place to get to. It's not too hard. You can get a tool in there if you need to. But that's where that is. And then the drain plug is actually just right here. So it's all kind of right there, compact in that one spot. I could put it up on the center stand to do this, but I'm actually just gonna leave it on the kickstand because that allows everything to come to this side. And since that's where we're gonna be draining out of, I want all of the oil to get out of it that I possibly can. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it on the kickstand instead of putting it on the center stand. Okay, so draining the oil out, really easy and simple. On my bike, it's a 17 millimeter head that I need to get on. I like to break it loose first and then just loosen it by hand until it pops off. And you can generally keep your hand pretty clean. See, I didn't get oil all over my hand or anything doing that. Let that drain for a minute. Should come out pretty quick. You can see how dark the oil is. It's been ready to be changed for a little bit now. I haven't gone super over, but I've gone a little over what I like to ride. So that's pretty much stopped at this point. So now I'm going to take the oil filter itself off of there. Getting that here. Trying not to get too much oil on the headers if I can keep from it. Look at that, I didn't get any oil on the headers. Fantastic. It's really the best. If you can keep from getting oil on the headers, that is great. And again, you may have a different location for your oil filter. I don't know other bikes. I know what this one's like, and I know what the ZX6R was like that I had before. All right, now that that's all drained out, I'm gonna take my new oil filter, open it up, make sure your hands are pretty clean. You don't want to have dirt or anything in them. Open it up. You don't want any debris or dirt inside of there. But what I like to do is I like to take some of this oil or some of the oil off of here and put it around that seal right there. And you go ahead and throw that on there. And one thing to keep in mind whenever you're doing this, you don't want to over tighten your oil filter. You don't want to leave it too loose to where you're really not making a good seal, but you also don't want to over tighten it at the same time and not be able to really get it off next time. All right. So that's pretty good. A good rule of thumb whenever you're putting oil filters on cars, motorcycles, whatever motor vehicle it is, you don't want to over tighten it, and you never want to use a tool to put it back on, because if you use a tool to get it back on, it's going to be 3 times, 5 times, 10 times as hard to get it off. So I would recommend not using a tool putting one on, but I mean, if you do that, that's your own prerogative. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the drain plug back in. All right, like to clean up the area once I get the drain plug kind of snug. Go ahead and get everything kind of clean around in there. The less oil that you have sitting on your engine after doing this, and the better. You're not gonna have that nasty smell when you go to ride it for the first time. Get your oil out of the way. Make sure you recycle that. Take that to your local auto parts place or wherever you take it to recycle oil. Don't just throw it down the drain or anything like that. That's horrible. All right, get that snug. Again, don't over tighten your drain bolt because you don't want that stuff to be too tight. All right, so I've got all that back on there. So now we're gonna go around to the sight glass and watch that as we go ahead and put oil into it. Okay, so here's what we're working with over here. Right here, we've got the sight glass. That's what we're gonna use to look and see where our oil is actually at. We want it to be in between this point and this point, preferably up towards the higher point rather than being towards the lower point. They say to put it right in the middle, but I like to have it a little bit more towards the top. That keeps that red light showing that you have low oil from coming on. And I don't like having lights on. Makes me feel like something's wrong, even though I know what it is. So we're gonna be working with the sight glass down here, and then we're gonna be filling up from right here. So I'm gonna get that open. We're gonna get to putting this Yamalube in there. And my bike's supposed to take 3.9 quarts. I got 4 quarts, obviously, because it gives you a little bit extra. You don't wanna have too little. And you do not wanna overfill it. So if I overfill it, then I'll have to take that drain bolt off and let some of it out, and I don't wanna have to do that, so we're gonna have to be really, really careful not to overfill it. I can put the first 3 in and then fill it out from there. Roll the bike this way. Get it to about where it's even. You should see most of the oil right here. See how it looks like it's full, but it's not full. I only have 3 quarts in the bike, and it holds 3.9. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cap it, open my garage door, and I'm going to start it briefly to get the oil kind of circulated a little more so I can continue filling it up. Circulated a little more. Shouldn't really see you can't really see the oil down in the sight glass anymore. So that's what I wanted. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna open it back up. And since it holds 3.9, I'm gonna do about half of this last quart. So I'm at about 3.5. That way I don't overfill it. And I have a chance to kind of slowly put a little more and a little more as I need it to get it to where it needs to be. And if you're not super familiar with doing this stuff, you do have a way to tell where you're at with this little sight right here. And I'm a little over half at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little more in there. Now that should put me pretty close to where I need to be. Turn this down a little more to make sure you can see that sight glass. Roll it to about level. So since my bike has a center stand, I'm lucky enough to be able to actually put the center stand down with my foot and make sure that both sides are touching. That tells me that the bike is actually level, and I can check my sight glass here, which it's about where I was saying that I wanted it before, right up by that top line, but not above the top line because you don't want to have too much oil in there. Too much oil is a bad thing. So that's about where I want it to be. I need to take it on a little short ride, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Get the oil cycled through, make sure the filter is full, and kind of get it everywhere it needs to be. And then I'll come back and check it again and add more if I need to.